Welcome, dear listener, to Desert Island Gamer, a quick-fire interview podcast digging into those video games that shaped us into the wholesome, kind-hearted people we are today. The entirely original premise: one desert island, one guest, 3 games they adore, one game they abhor, and a carefully selected gaming character with which to spend an eternity of moonlit walks along the beach. It could be weird, it could be unhinged, and it could have crappy sound quality, but at least it will be short. To the island. Today we welcome Laurie, aka YouTube's Kiwi in Japan. Hi Laurie, it is great to have you here today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
It is our pleasure. You've got so much going on. I'm just amazed how you managed to fit it all in.
Life in Japan is it's exciting if you go out and look for new opportunities. So yes, I am at work, but then when I come back, if it's a quiet day, I want to stream or I want to go for a run. But if I've got a bit more energy, I like to go out and go to a restaurant or go and see like Nipponbashi, which is the anime hub in Osaka where I live. I know that there's so much going on in a big city, and I come from a small town in New Zealand. And so being in Osaka is life-changing to me. I'm always going and seeking opportunities, I guess, yeah.
There is that exuberance in the videos. They're all very life-affirming videos, very positive, upbeat, and just excitement exudes from them in every corner.
Thank you so much.
Especially at the times we're going through now, they're kind of just like a nice little escape and a nice little...
Yeah. I've got some friends who do some vlogging, but it's very much, I don't know, it feels scripted. It feels very, hey guys, welcome to my video. And so I'm just very natural. I'm just like, oh, hello, today I'm going to eat some food. And I love anime. I'm going to get some Kimetsu no Yaiba stuff, and yeah. It works.
It's an absolute treat.
Yes.
Life in Japan at the moment, how is that for you, considering everything that's going on around the world?
It's a bit scary, really. At school, I mean, Japan has such a culture of when you feel sick, you wear a mask, not for yourself, but for others.
Yes.
But you still go to work. Like, Japanese people work so hard. They have very limited annual leave. So with Corona breaking out, masks have been very accessible from the get-go, really. And everyone immediately wore masks. It seems like life's back to normal now, but everyone has a mask everywhere you go, and hand sanitizer at every store, and scans for your heat and your temperature. But yeah, lots of the other co-workers, the other teachers here in my town have had to go back to America. The American government basically saying, come back now or you're locked out indefinitely.
Oh, really?
The number of teachers in my town has halved as well. So yeah, I teach English in Japan, by the way.
Was that the game plan, or was this a surprise route thrown up by life itself?
It was a bit of a surprise route. I mean, in New Zealand, I finished a secondary education teaching diploma to be able to teach media studies and English. But coming out of that, I thought, I don't want to teach in New Zealand. I want to do something exciting. So I have dual citizenship with New Zealand and the UK. And I thought, I could go to Australia, I could go to the UK, or I could do something completely different. So I looked into Singapore, Taiwan, Japan. Yep. And the JET program with Japan was the most solid and the most easiest to get into. So I kind of put all my eggs in that basket, and I was very fortunate to be able to get a job here.
What an adventure you're on at the moment, you know.
Yes. So I do my best to share everything that I get up to, but some things I like to keep to myself. I don't make a video out of.
One video, obviously, that caused ripples all over the place and a ridiculous amount of viewers was your spider video.
That's right.
And to be honest, looking at it, it's got everything. Let's face it, we've got horror, we've got drama, we've even got a chase scene in there and a little bit of heartbreak.
And there's no cuts in that video either. I didn't do any editing.
Yeah,
it was just all one take, and everything seemed to flow perfectly.
This is like Tarantino at his finest. I'm not sure if you're aware, though, you are supposed to run away from a spider when it starts moving, not chase it.
My friends were terrified, so when they said, look at the spider, I was just like, film me. I'm going to go in there and get rid of it.
Yeah, I mean, when the spider first appears on screen, it is kind of like, wow.
Oh boy, I wasn't prepared for how big that was going to be, but yeah.
What was it like, obviously, after the video went up, watching those numbers start to roll?
In the first month, it was like a normal vlog video that I've done. It's gone from to about 300 or 800 views. In the month of November, it started going to 2,000, and I was like, oh, okay, this is something special. And in December, it just one day was 150,000, and I was like, what is going on? So I made a reaction video reading some of the comments, and even then, I'm like, wow, 350,000, so much. But now it went into the millions, and it's insane. I don't know why. YouTube's algorithm is just kindly smiling on me, going, massive spider. That's what people want to see.
Everyone loves a massive spider chase. Definitely. It's normally the other way around, having said that. But yeah, it is. I mean, like I said, my daughter will watch that video religiously every single day. She's obsessed with spiders, and she is obsessed with that video in particular. So yeah, thank you. It's a little bit of babysitting you're doing there for me as well. So it's wonderful.
Thank you so much for finding me. I'm excited for this.
I'll take it that's not the typical spider size in Japan.
No, well, I've done 2 more videos of a spider chase. The second one, there's another spider which is sort of the size of pinching your index and your thumb together.
Yeah.
But I filmed another chase of that one because this time it was in my house, not my friend's house.
I'm writing the screenplay actually of the video as we speak, so hopefully that'll hit the big screens.
Film adaptation, fantastic.
Absolutely. Back on gaming, because that's where we're going to be going soon. Where do you come from as a gamer?
Well, I guess as a young child, I borrowed a friend's Game Boy Color. I borrowed a friend's Nintendo 64. So I was a Nintendo boy growing up.
Okay.
Eventually, I got my own Nintendo 64. And this was when the GameCube had already come out. So I was one console behind, going to secondhand shops, finding those Nintendo 64 cartridges, and basically seeing the picture on the cover. Oh, Mystical Ninja starring Geoman. I like ninjas. Go home and play it and realize, oh, this is not what I thought it would be like at all. I like it. So I kind of just bought whatever I saw in a secondhand store. But sometimes I'd Google beforehand. Like I knew I wanted to get my hands on Banjo-Kazooie and Pokemon Stadium. And eventually I did. But yeah, I was usually always one console behind.
Before we kick in, we will go through your very quick icebreaker questions. Now, hopefully, Laurie, you'll enjoy this when you look back in like 5 or 6 years and the trauma's subsided and you'll be able to say, why did I do that podcast? If you could travel through time to any period or event in history, where would you go?
Oh, that's a tough one. Right off the bat, I'm thinking Renaissance, Italy, maybe. Wow. If I was able to associate with the upper class, I don't know where I'd fit into that. But going to some of the parties and the masquerades and things would be beautiful. Some of the artwork and architecture would be great, I think. Until
you realised there was no Wi-Fi signal.
Exactly, yeah. So now, maybe now it's pretty good. I don't know.
Maybe we are in the, well, almost. If you could make one TV show recommendation that everybody should sit down and watch at some point during their life, what would that show be?
Ooh, the hard questions right now. Oh my God.
I apologise.
Okay. It has to be one show. I'm trying to think of something that's good right from the beginning to the end.
I've had my heart broken by many shows.
Let's say The Simpsons, you know? I feel like the season 1 to season 20 of The Simpsons is pretty classic.
And that is an awful lot of TV to watch.
I mean, like the past 10, 15 seasons have not been so good, but the first 10 at least, 20 maybe.
Yeah, in its prime. There was
so good, little... so many laughs. I mean, maybe not big laughs, but you'll wink and you'll go, that's clever. Conan O'Brien doing the writing in those early days is very good. So I recommend the early Simpsons for sure.
I will do. I've got Disney Plus. I'll try and watch the whole.
Really?
Of course.
I didn't know The Simpsons was on there.
Oh, every season.
Wow.
See, now you're glad you came on the podcast.
New info.
Last question in the icebreakers. What was the last game you remember that hit you emotionally?
I think I'd have to say Get Amped 2 Evolution.
Whoa, I'm not aware of this game.
So there's this online game that I played for 7 years called Get Amped 2, and my early YouTube videos are all this game. That's basically where I come from. The game shut down about a year or two ago, and a new server is in the development process now called Get Amped 2 Evolution. And lots of the old players are coming back and getting invested, and I've done lots of streaming of this game, and it's a classic. And I'm glad that the game's getting some new life.
Are you seeing like faces from the past as well? The same faces coming back in?
Yes, lots of people have joined the Get Amp 2 Evolution Discord server and have said like, Laurie, I remember your old videos. It's good to see you're here.
Oh, that's nice.
And the moderators are very driven. They want it to not be pay to win because the original game was. For me, it's heartwarming to see this old dying game having new life.
Okay, let's cut to the chase. Laurie, what would be your first game?
Oh, well, I hate to mention it twice, but Get Amped 2, if I can bring online.
That's absolutely cool.
Online game? Do I have Wi-Fi on the island?
The island, it's like the island in Lost. Many mysterious things, including Wi-Fi, exist.
Well, online games might have to be a big thing. I mean, I loved RuneScape and MapleStory, but Get Amped 2 is the online game I've spent 7 years of my life playing with such a small following. But it's a fighter game. It's not so much like Street Fighter and Tekken. It's not too like side-on fighting. You can run around in a 3D plane. And so the fights are so dynamic. And the game also has a skin making functionality. So if you're an artist and you want to play as, I don't know, Spike from Cowboy Bebop, if you've got like the artist potential to use polygons and draw on like MS Paint, you can make a custom skin. Yeah, so it's really, really good creativity.
Like you said, it had a small following. So did you find in a competitive game online, did you build bonds and enemies out there?
Oh, I'll tell you what, Get Amped 2 is probably one of the most toxic games I've ever been in. But I love it to bits. Like, you will meet the nicest people who are like your family in the same guild as you. I was the leader of a guild called Luna. Yes. Which by the end of the game's life was the #1 guild, which after 7 years, I was like, oh, finally, we've made it. But there were also some people who were they would gang you, like 2 people versus 1 or 3 people versus 1, or they just go C, like punch, 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 and you couldn't break out of a combo.
Right.
So some people just played unfairly and they talked smack to each other. But at the same time, that's what gave the game such strong life.
Did you find yourself a target? People knew your name and they would come after you?
Yeah, people would always... Lots of people just thought, oh, it's Laurie Moon. He makes YouTube videos. We hate him.
Right.
But there was absolutely no justification.
No rational.
You were well known in the game, so... And I didn't say I was a pro at the game. I was pretty average at it, really. But lots of people were just like, oh, Laurie thinks he's so good. But I just had an audience, I suppose. Yeah.
No, despite me not being aware of the game, I have to say that echoes to Call of Duty 3. So I played that and I stayed on it when these new games, the new Call of Duties, were being released. Oh. And what we ended up with was this real small little community where people, you'd have your nemesis and you'd have your like friends, and it was great. The forums for that game just became this toxic wasteland of abuse.
Oh god, certainly. I imagine the same thing happened with like Modern Warfare 2. I know that one was very popular as well.
Whenever anyone stays behind, you end up with this. But it's interesting because you see the same faces, which in normally with a game of that size, you'll see someone once and then never again.
There was definitely like newer players were innocent, and then all of the higher level players like knew each other, had beef, knew all of the guilds and everything like that. But Get Amp 2 Evolution as well, that private server, everyone's come together. Everyone's put aside their differences, I think.
For now.
For now. We'll see when the game launches proper. Yeah.
Till you get another viral video and they all hate you and come after you.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Perfect. That's a great first choice. What would be game 2?
I was thinking about this because I knew Get Amp 2 right off the bat, but my second game would maybe be Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley. It's a farming simulator game. I've played through this game at least 3 or 4 times with 100 hours each. Wow. And every time I play the game, I think, now I'm going to have a duck farm. I'm only allowed to have ducks. Like I'll start off with some fruit and veg, but then I'm only having ducks or something.
Yes.
Or I'll be like, this time I'm going to get to the bottom of the mines. I'm going to fight all the monsters. One time I played it again on co-op, so I'd only play it if I was with friends. It's a lot of goal setting. Like the game can be very boring, or you can decide what to make it.
Which is probably the beauty of it. And it's so different from your first choice. I mean, you've gone from this conflict to this tranquil little...
It can either be a solo experience or a co-op game, and you can have lots of people on your farm helping out. But yeah, I also don't know if I'd be growing real crops on my island. So I don't know if I'd want to play a farming game and then also go to my life on the island, you know?
You have the companion as well. I mean, so it's co-op.
True.
It is a game I enjoy myself. It's kind of one of them you can just switch off. Well, not switch off as you play, but the outside world kind of melts away for a few
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Like time sort of flows past you and you're just, oh, I'll do it another day. I'll do it another day.
Yeah. Another great choice. You're on fire here today, Laurie.
Oh, thank you.
But there's always game free.
I thought long and hard about this one because I thought of different choices, but I think I'm going to have to go with Zelda Ocarina of Time. When I borrowed a Nintendo 64 from my friend, which I mentioned, the two games were Lilac Wars, which is also known as Star Fox 64.
Yep.
And Ocarina of Time. And so I would always play Ocarina of Time. I think I got it when I was about 7 or 8. I was too scared to fight the bosses. I would give my mum the controller and be like, fight the Deku Tree boss. I'm too scared. It's too dark in this cave. The Shadow Temple was terrifying. Even until I was like in my 13, I guess. But it was good. At its core, Ocarina of Time is a puzzle game. All Zelda games are puzzle games, disguised as a role-playing game, kind of. And some of those puzzles can be really difficult. You'll be doing a puzzle and then you'll be like, you know what, I'm going to leave. You'll walk around the town, you'll find some more hearts, and then you'll go back to the puzzle and give it another go.
I almost feel ashamed to admit this, but I've only really played one Zelda game.
Which one?
The old Super Nintendo.
Oh my goodness.
And you know what? I adored it. It was absolutely brilliant. And then I've kind of fired up Zelda games since. Breath of the Wild most recently. I don't know whether it's because I jump around from so many games that I lose track of what's going on in a game the size of Zelda.
You can't really go back to it, can you?
Yeah. No, that's kind of an issue. Yeah, I feel like I should hand in a badge or something for saying that.
I would certainly say that Breath of the Wild is very different to any of the older Zelda games. It's more of a like open world adventure, and the puzzles kind of take like when you go into those little temples where there's like all the blue lights, those are the puzzles, and everything else is not. I would recommend some of the older Zelda games.
Yeah, I still have a Super Nintendo, so maybe I can dig out something. Why for you Ocarina of Time above all the other Zeldas?
For me, it's just the one that I played a ton in my childhood before I could even really comprehend what I'm supposed to do in a video game.
Oh, perfect.
You know? Yeah. So sometimes the objective was you're supposed to go to this dungeon and fight this boss, but I'd be like, I'm going to go and walk in the farm. I'm going to get some milk. I'd give myself personal goals. I'm going to stay up all night and fight the skeletons in Hyrule Field. I'd just be doing whatever as a kid. That felt like the biggest adventure.
And is it kind of, I guess now, if you were to fire that up now, is it almost like this little time machine that'll take you back to your childhood?
Yeah, I think so. Like I would definitely, anywhere in the game, I would remember like the back of my hand. I'd know exactly what I need to do.
Yeah.
But I'd still love it, you know?
I'm going to give you that. It's another great choice. I'm sure there'll be very few people out there who would argue against that being a universe.
Oh, yeah.
But we need to get a bit darker now. You have to pick something to go on the fire to keep you warm at night. And which game is going to be burnt?
I considered this, and you know what? Maybe it's a little bit harsh, but Beyond Two Souls.
Oh,
Quantic Dream. Beyond Two Souls.
I know this game very well.
I loved Heavy Rain. I loved Heavy Rain to bits. I played through it multiple times. I loved Nam and Jaden, FBI. And I loved the multiple endings. And even though I knew, spoiler, I knew who the killer was after so many playthroughs, I went back and played it through again to see what else was going on. What if I took another path? But Beyond Two Souls was announced as, the new game from Quantic Dream. It's going to be like Heavy Rain. But I just thought it was so linear. You saw Ellen Page's character talking, like it kept jumping between the past and the present and the future. Yep. And so when you went to the past, you knew she wasn't going to die because she was at the end. If you fail a QTE, a quick time event, you just get another chance. You cannot lose this game.
That never occurred to me while I was playing it, and now
and I don't know why. The multiple choices that you make. Oh, your boyfriend will lose his eye. He loses his eye, but the exact same events happen. He just now doesn't. He just wears an eye patch now. It gives the impression of choices and then comes back to the same point. And so, unlike Heavy Rain, I was like, this is ridiculous. I played through the whole game, like 20 hours, and I was just like, that's it, really? And then I played it again so I could get the other ending, and I was just like, oh, okay, that's a bit silly.
I can I can relate to that. I did complete Heavy Rain. I didn't complete Beyond Two Souls, probably for the same reasons. Although, I have to admit, I found Heavy Rain to be probably the most depressing game I've ever played. Really good. Like, really
it is
good.
very depressing, you know, yeah.
There is like
but that's drama for you.
Oh,
I
yeah,
love drama films, yeah.
Yeah, there's just, that is a game where there's almost no light at all. Even at the start, I found it depressing when you're walking around getting ready for the day.
Yeah, and that's meant to be joyous as well. It's meant to be a sunny morning. The kids are coming home.
I just found it really...
You're like, oh no, I'm in purgatory.
Beyond Two Souls, burnt on the flames, and probably rightly so. We have discussed it before as well.
Sorry, Quantic Dream.
You need a character companion, and who is joining you on the island?
I didn't really give it too much thought. Maybe I chose the obvious answer, but Kenta or Goose from Dobetsu no Mori, Animal Crossing.
Right.
So Goose is a chicken, and he's a jock. He's good-spirited. He's wholesome. He's always like, hey, bro, I've been lifting weights all morning. He's on an island from the latest Animal Crossing game.
Yep.
New Horizons. So I just thought, oh, Goose is my favorite animal companion on Animal Crossing. He'd be great on the real island as well.
And at any point were you thinking Goose is a chicken, we have a fire?
No. Well, he's a pretty big boy. He's a big chicken.
Is he? He can handle himself.
If I want a fancy treat, maybe. Lose my good companion, though.
That's cool. It makes sense. Yeah, sort of. Having, talking chicken on the island. We've had choices just as out there as that. That's
When I first met Goose, I thought he was annoying because he was just like, hey, bro, how's it going? I'm busting a sweat. I thought it was annoying, but after a while, I was like, oh, he's too wholesome. He's always so energetic.
New Horizons kind of launched as everything was kicking off around the world.
Yeah, that's very true.
Did you find that was, in terms of it releasing, ideal timing? Because it was like this little escape.
Absolutely. It was absolutely perfect timing because everyone was suddenly on lockdown. It was in March or April.
Yeah.
Everyone was immediate lockdown, like it was scare. And then this game comes along where you can very easily, like Stardew Valley, sink so many hours like doing menial tasks and things. And so I think it sold enormously.
Yeah.
And it was hugely popular, more popular than it probably should have been.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I possibly have just started a conspiracy here that Nintendo have got a hand in everything that's going on. It's not my intention. Were there any games that nearly made either list?
Instead of Zelda, I was thinking Skyrim. Because Skyrim is similar in which you can go on a big adventure. You can explore this massive world. Kind of like Ocarina of Time, but it's even bigger. And I think with Skyrim, I had the same sense of wonder as an adult that I had a sense of wonder with Zelda as a child. If we can include mods into Skyrim, it's even more exciting. You can add new quests and armor and weapons, and the game just becomes massive.
Yeah. It's a great choice.
But each quest line is it's like its own lengthy game, pretty much. I nearly put Skyrim, but Zelda's a bit more personal to me, I feel.
I always liked how they used to also bring you from some sort of dingy, like Fallout did as well, from some sort of interior space out into this massive world, just to give you jaw-dropping, awe-inspiring moment at the beginning of every game, which was so good.
Yeah, Bethesda is wonderful, making such good games.
Well, that is fantastic. I hugely appreciate your time. Some great choices. In fact, I don't think you had a poor choice there. I'm not sure about the chicken, but the chicken's questionable.
Maybe I should have given it more thought. Oh, well.
Everyone loves chicken. No, it's cool. All that's left to say is thank you very much, Laurie. And until next time, goodbye.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Wait, don't go. If you would like to hear more and see more from Kiwi in Japan, and let's face it, who doesn't want more of that, head over to YouTube, type Kiwi in Japan into the search bar, and enjoy some of the biggest hearted, warmest, friendliest vlogging on the planet.